Hello, everybody. Today we are at the second episode of Road to 65. Today we have invited Jan Clyncke, Managing Director of BeWeee Cycle, and we are very happy to go in dialogue with him about solar panels and his view on the electrical market and on the key changes on the Belgian market. So the floor is yours, Johan.
Thank you, Xavier. Welcome, Jan. It's great to have you all here in the Rock Studio. And first of all, maybe I would like to ask you, Jan, to introduce a little bit yourself. Who is Jan Clyncke?
Good question, but thank you for the invitation at BeWeee. Now, Jan Clyncke, I'm Managing Director of BeWeee Cycle, as already introduced, since 2008. And before BeWeee Cycle, I worked 13 years in the waste business at Jan. Now it's known as BeWeee. So I'm a bit like on the crossroads between waste management and now renewable energy since 18 years.
Okay, fine. Great. And what exactly is BeWeee Cycling doing? Can you explain a bit?
Yeah, BeWeee Cycle started as a voluntary take-back program to collect photovoltaic panels and to get them recycled. This was set up by the photovoltaic industry as a non-for-profit association in 2007. I joined in 2008 and I gave it hand and feet with the objective to get really something in place on a voluntary commitment as well towards Europe. At the end, that failed a little bit to the commitment, and that's one of the reasons why we then were put under the scope of the BeWeee directive since 2014. So since 10 years now, we have to deal with extended producer responsibility. And at that point, similar organization now in Belgium, but also in other countries, we are active. A similar organization as Recupel in Belgium, well known. We are a producer compliance scheme or a producer responsibility organization. Also, similar like a Recupel, managing not only the administrative compliance part, but also the operations. So we are also organizing the collection and recycling of photovoltaic panels.
Okay, great. And how is the Belgian solar market currently performing?
Belgium solar market is currently performing. People will always complain, but the market is doing well. I think we are circulating around 10 gigawatt installed, so that's massive. That's like 10 nuclear power plants, comparable with country like it's half maybe of France. So France is much bigger than Belgium, but they only installed 20 gigawatts. So at that point, we done it well. The only challenges we had was a little bit that we had some pikes. So the first big wave was in 2011, 1 gigawatt installed when the subsidies were there. And then it was for 7 years nothing anymore. And then it again ramped it up a little bit in 2019, 20. And then due to decisions by a Ministry of Energy or recently also the issue with Ukraine immediately also gave a pike again in what has been installed. But at one point in time we were number one in Europe regarding what peak installed per capita. Now we just went out of the top 3, so we are still on spot number 7 in Europe. And it's dominated by now the Netherlands, followed by Germany and Austria. But in general, it shows you, well, we have done already quite decent job with solar PV installed. The only really remark is that it's mainly a Flemish installed markets. 75% of what is installed is in Flanders.
Is it due to regulations or subsidies?
It's due to regulations. It's due to also subsidies, where the Flemish region has really subsidized PV and renewable in general much earlier and much higher also than the Walloon region. Also I think the differences between the regions, of course. The Walloon region, at least 2 provinces have a lot of woods and trees and forests. So I think that's also different. The businesses, we have a bit more businesses, activities as well. That all plays a role. But in general, I think we did fine. And it would now be nice if the Belgian market can continue with an annual 400 megawatt to install. Then I think you will have a professional market and there will be room to make some living and to do some businesses for the professionals as well.
Okay. Just to have an idea, what's the balance between private installations and industry?
It's mainly a household rooftop PV market, as we all see when we cross on the Belgian roads. That's also an interesting part of PV and solar. If you compare it for others, for example, with electrical and electronic equipment, this you find in every household, in every business. You find a mobile phone, a TV set. You find it in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west of Europe. While PV, some countries in Europe, there is barely PV installed. So it's mainly 14, 15 countries of the EU 27 who deployed a lot. And then, within a country, Belgium is a very household rooftop market, while Spain is, for example, mainly large utility scale PV. So you barely see something on a household rooftop, but you only see them in remote areas in Spain.
Which is surprising because of the weather.
Indeed, it's true.
You would expect.
You would expect this more. Another example, even also in the south, Portugal. Portugal, until the year 2020, there was barely 1 gigawatt installed there. 1 gigawatt, one nuclear power plant. Now, the last 5 years, they did okay. They went to 5-6 gigawatt now. But such a southern country with so much light, so much sun, you would expect that they are barely, almost number one. No, they are not. So
if you take the size of the country and the number of hours of sun Belgium is doing compared to other countries,
very well.
Very well. Yeah. Okay. Top. To come back on the next topic, which is for sure the main topic, your solar panel recycling. We are now in the first generation of solar panels which is recycled as we speak. At this moment, how many solar panels does PV Cycle recycle each year?
Well, focusing just on Belgium right now, last year we did a record year, so 1,500 tons collected in Belgium, so that was a lot, especially compared to 2023 was only 700 tons, so it was really doubling. The years before it was 300 tons, 200 tons, so we are really ramping up from nothing to now, the 1,500 tons. Will this continue? You would expect yes, in a normal, I would say, producer responsibility thinking. The only challenge with us is that photovoltaic panel has a product guarantee of 10 years, performance guarantee of 20 years. So what we see, and we do now this since 2010, collecting all over in Europe, that still, if we look to European numbers, we have collected over the past 14 years 120,000 tons. This is more or less 1.8 gigawatt, but in Europe there is 300 gigawatt installed. So if you put the 2 gigawatts divided by 300, you know the return rate. So it's peanuts what's coming back, which is good. It confirms that the product guarantee and the performance guarantee fit, and that's good for the solar industry and the manufacturers. But to scale up activities as we do, PV Cycle, this is challenging, of course, because we do not have a guaranteed supply. We cannot set up collection routes like you have with the Blueback in Belgium, PMC and PMD. Plus can organize everything every 2 weeks, pick up, and we cannot do this because we would have days where we have nothing to pick up. So the 1,500 is quite something, but it also contains 3 big projects last year, and average tonnage was 150 tons per pickup. So if this year we have not such a big projects anymore, because the market started here 2010, 2011. So of course, after 13, 14 years, we have the first small wave of big installations which are coming back from the market, especially from the industrial rooftop market. It's good news of last year, the 1,500. But I have no guarantee. Maybe that next year we do again an interview podcast, and then I tell you 25 was only 700 tons again. That's possible.
And is that a threat that the cost of change is hesitating for the renewable, that people keep the panels longer than foreseen initially, or is not that something?
No, I think there are the two markets. I think in the household rooftop, I do not immediately think that households are thinking about the return on investment. Of course, they are thinking about it and okay, yeah, now we win some money with having our system in place, but they are not yet thinking about repowering it and saying, okay, bring us new panels, the latest technology. I think for most of the households, this will run for 20 years or even longer, because nobody has a clue how long a photovoltaic system can generate electricity. For businesses, however, it will be completely different. The big industrial rooftops will easier decide after 10 years, okay, we got our money back of the investments, bring us the latest technology, because the latest technology is more performant. You have now 600 watt peak on one panel, and what they have currently on their rooftop is maybe a panel of 200 watt peak. So you have much more energy on the same place if you would replace them right now, and also latest technology, more performant and so on. So I think this repowering will still continue, but due to the fact that we have still a small industrial rooftop market, and I'm not even talking about standalone systems, because we only have one huge one in Flanders, for example, in Crystal Park, Limburg. That's a 100 megawatt installation, but that's the biggest one of Belgium. So that's very big for Belgium, but if you compare it in Germany, yeah, they find this a joke, a 100 megawatt installation. They have sometimes installation of 400 megawatt, and in the Middle East, they are talking about a 1 gigawatt installation. So it's at that point, you cannot compare us with other countries. And it will be very difficult to predict when there will be a guaranteed return of waste to collect and to recycle.
Okay. Are you ready for an increase?
Yeah, we are ready for an increase. It's more the challenging is the recycling capacity ready for an increase. Everybody is interested in this product, and this is still for me. After 70 years BeWeee, the biggest surprise when I started with it, I thought, wow, this will be the challenging part, finding recycling solutions for, at the end, a flat glass product. Because if you remove the aluminium frame and the junction box and the cables, it's a similar product as your car glass, as your building glass. Okay, it contains some silicon and some other material in between, but it's a laminated flat glass product. At that time, I said, wow, very difficult to find solutions. Now we are 70 years later, and I see all potential treatment technologies are applicable on PV panels. So you can do the mechanical treatment, shredding, you can do chemical treatment, you can do pyrolysis, so heating it up. You can also even freezing it down to minus 300 degrees, and you will also have delaminate the glass from the solar cells and so on. Everything is possible. The only question is now, who is able to set up an industrial scaled treatment solution, let's say 50,000 tons capacity per year, and who will do this, when this person or this company will do it, because you need a guaranteed supply of your waste. If the 50,000 tons is not coming in, or at least not within the first 5 years, why you would then build up a big recycling line of 50,000 tons? So that's the biggest challenge with us. We have no waste, but we know it will come one day, and that's the unpredictable factor when it will come back.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Could you walk us through the recycling process, just to explain how it works now? You gave already some insights, but the different steps.
Well, it's mainly today. It's mainly a manual removal of the aluminium frame. That's the easiest part. You still need a deframing machine. The junction box is removed. The cables are removed, and these are the easiest parts to recover, and also to recover the metals from it or the plastics. And then, of course, it's the difficult part to get the sandwich into pieces. And as I said, some partners we work with do it with mechanical treatment, the classical shredding, which is 95% of waste is shredded. And then you try to remove the light and the heavy material and the plastics and the ferro and the non-ferro metals from each other. But others are immediately applying pyrolysis, heating it up to 500-600 degrees. Others are also applying a chemical treatment. So today, a little bit, everything is possible. And I would say I have no preference. I'm just realistic that at one point in time you will need all kind of treatment technologies if you have millions of PV panels, tons, which will come back from the market. But the current the current treatment technology is, I would say, what is available on the market, and some put all their money in a solution which is able already to maybe recover the silicon at a high grade. Others are really doing more realistic approach. It also depends a little bit how much money you have in your pocket today to finance this treatment solution. To give you a very simple example about silicon, everybody thinks it has a value, indeed. But when I started PV Cycle 2008, the silicon required for a solar cell at that time costed $500 for 1 kilogram. We are 17 years later, the same silicon for the same solar cell, today you can buy it for $20 per kilogram. Mm-hmm. So if you talk about the economical benefit or does it make sense to recover the silicon, unfortunately the answer is no. But if you look to the policymakers in Europe, then they have put silicon on a list of so-called critical raw materials. So the European Commission thinks it's really a critical raw material, you have to recover it. And then is the question, at what price? And is Europe also willing to support this financially? Because we are dependent from the silicon from China. But on the other hand, the economical value in the recovered market is nothing, barely nothing.
Have you any idea how many the percentage of solar panels are now recycled?
If you really put it on the recycling rates, this is your question, then we as PV Cycle, our partners, we would say averagely we are turning around 70% really recycling and 30% recovery, which is then, for example, usage in smelters. That's it. So no landfilling, also not allowed, of course, in Europe. But on a laboratory scale and on a small scaled line, which is able to do maybe 2,000-3,000 tons per year, there already we can achieve 90 to 95% recycling.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, if you find a good solution for your glass and you can recover your glass as pure as possible, that's 80% of the weight of your product of a PV panel. So then you can easily achieve nice recycling yields. But again, that's on small based capacity but of course, if the wave is coming back of huge amounts at one point in time, also a policymaker will probably welcome the fact that you can go to 90%. But if the streets of Flanders are full with stored solar panels because the treatment plant is working slow, then the policymaker will please urge you to get the streets cleaned. Okay. So you need more capacity, and then more capacity means scaling up and mean to find a solution which goes fast and at the end also achieves a nice recycling yield, but which might be not 90% then.
These are interesting percentages, Xavier, that we would like to achieve with BeWeee as well. Did you get any new insights from the recycling process for the solar panels with what you heard from Jan?
Yes, of course. And that's one of the key reasons Jan is invited today, because we focus maybe, but that's not natural, too much on electrical equipment. I think, Jan will explain how he sees the incorporament of solar panels in the whole picture. But it's important that we have an idea. What kind of product is it? Because we have too many times we're talking about electrical equipment. So it's very important for me.
So let's talk about BeWeee now. What's your experience so far in working together with BeWeee?
A very good experience. As I'm also chairman of BeWeee since a couple of years, I enjoy it, and it's also nice to see how it has grown from 2016 until now, and also what BeWeee has achieved on the tons which were reported to BeWeee exclusive from PV Cycle Belgium or from Recupel. So I think with extracting 45 to 48,000 tons out of the market, which were not yet reported to any of the other PROs, it shows really the added value of BeWeee. So on that point, I would say a very happy man. And of course, it's now the biggest challenge is now to get, I'm not saying even the last kilogram, but to get more kilograms out of the drawings of people, especially on electronic equipment, but also on solar panels. It will be very important that's also the role of a BeWeee Cycle Belgium, that we communicate how people can get rid of their panels, where to bring it to, and to use also, I would say, legitimate channels, because also the item of I'm not saying illegal waste treatments, but we see it with solar panels. It's a huge challenge with reuse, and under the name of reuse, that's why I also worked a bit too long in the waste business. It's a very nice business, very professional business, but there is a very small part of people acting in this business doing trade sometimes, especially in the early days. And then it's easy to say, I collect your stuff and it's sent for reuse to somewhere else on this planet, while it is in fact waste. And that's really also what I noticed in BeWeee, that we need to get much more tons out of reuse or the preparation for reuse, because there is a thin line between used equipment, which might officially be first, second waste, then it's again repaired and maybe fit for a second-hand sales, and then it would be also fair to report this to BeWeee, and it would also be correct that also authorities acknowledge this as reused equipment, which is part of achieving the 65 collection point target, the 65% collection target.
You think it's realistic, this target?
With today's I would say definition of this target, it's not realistic, because it's based, again, the BeWeee directive is from 2012. That's already 13 years ago. That's long. And the target is defined as, you take the sales of the past 3 years, and then you have to achieve 65% out of market of those last 3 years. While the last 13 years, the industry went already from linear to circular. So also in electronic equipment, most of them, but especially at BeWeee, I know it, the products have now more and more a lifetime average of 10 years. 15 years. So it becomes always longer and longer and longer, because we are also pushed by policymakers to make products which last forever. And if they not last forever, we are also pushed to repair them, to prepare them for reuse, to make them, give them a second life. And that's why the 65% is now, I would say, a bit of an insane target, because it has nothing to do anymore with reality. And that's, I think, what is important with the upcoming new BeWeee regulation, directive or regulation, whatever it will be on the European level, but that policymakers really start to think much more in circular thinking, and also tabling their legislation circular instead of linear. Because now it's too much focused on collection target, a recycling target, while they better think about key performance indicators. What a KPI could be prevention to waste. And then you would really think circular. How many of your products you have put on the market will not become waste within maybe the first 5 or 10 years? And acknowledge that would make much more sense than saying, you did not achieve the 65%. And in some countries, we have witnessed this as BeWeee Cycle, we got even a financial penalty, not achieving the 65% collection target. Then for me, this is an insane situation, because it's about producer responsibility, and then you have to finance a penalty because you did not achieve the target. And on the other hand, you are making or manufacturing a product which has a long lifetime. Yeah, this is an opposite world, and that's an opposite situation, of course.